أدنى أدنى أدنى. Welcome. ברוכים הבאים. Ahlan wa sahlan. We are starting now with the opening remarks, and it is my honor to call on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, to address us all. Prime Minister, please.
Minister of State for Financial Affairs, Altair, Minister of the Economy, Al-Mari, the Assistant Minister of Culture and Public Diplomacy, Al-Mari, Undersecretary of Administration for the Finance, Al-Khoui, and the entire Emirati delegation. On behalf of myself, Minister Ashkenazi, all the Israeli delegation, welcome to Israel. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, CEO of International Development Finance Corporation, Adam Boehler, Ambassador Friedman, Special Representative Berkowitz, and the entire American delegation, welcome back to Israel. My staff wrote me some lines. They started by saying, today we are literally witnessing history in the making. And I said, absolutely not. Today we are making history. We are making history in a way that will stand for generations. This is the first ever official visit from the United Arab Emirates to Israel. This is the first time since the signing of the historic agreement in the White House that the government of Israel and the UAE will be signing concrete, practical agreements of cooperation. We are signing 4 agreements that will make a tangible difference for our peoples. The first is to provide for the protection of investments, to create an economic environment that will benefit all our people, all our entrepreneurs, and there are many, many talented entrepreneurs, and this will benefit peace, obviously. The second is an agreement of cooperation in science and technology to ensure that both our countries can embrace the hope and opportunities of the future, the ever-changing technology that benefits health, clean environment, safe environment. All these things that our people desperately want and deserve, they will get from this cooperation. Third, we're facilitating civil aviation. We're connecting Israel and the UAE through multiple direct flights, and Israelis will be able to go to many destinations beyond that, to the east in Asia. And fourth, we're exempting our nationals from visas, and this will offer a huge boost for business, tourism, people-to-people contacts. I have to say, as I just said on the receiving line, that the enthusiasm for this peace agreement among our peoples is enormous. It's real, it's broad, it's deep, and it reflects the potential that is being realized today. I was on a boat yesterday that came from a ship that came from Abu Dhabi with goods, washing machines. It's going to lower the cost of goods, the cost of living for Israel, and the mutual trade and the exchange of goods, services, technology, knowledge will benefit immeasurably not only our 2 countries, but the Middle East as a whole. I think that the visit of such a high-level delegation from the UAE and the agreements that we are about to sign will show our peoples, the region, and the entire world the benefit of having friendly, peaceful, normal exchanges. I believe that more and more governments across the Middle East understand, as we do here today, that we are so much better off by working together as friends. Ultimately, Jews and Arabs are the descendants of one common ancestor, Abraham, Ibrahim, and it is his name that we have, in his name that we have designated this historic peace initiative. In his spirit, we wish to foster a Middle East of coexistence and cooperation, of mutual understanding and mutual respect. Minister Altair, please convey to a great leader, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed, our deep appreciation and admiration for his groundbreaking leadership. We are working together to change the Middle East for the better. Secretary Mnuchin, please convey to President Trump our deep, deep appreciation for the work that he and the able team represented here have done, along with Jared Kushner. We would not be here today without America's support. Once again, I welcome all our guests from the United Arab Emirates and from the United States. We shall remember this day a glorious day of peace. And now permit me to say a few words in Hebrew. אני מבקש לברך את מכובדנו, שרי ממשלת האיחוד האמירויות וחברי המשלחת החשובה מארצות הברית. ברוכים הבאים לישראל. Welcome to Israel. זהו יום חגיגי והיסטורי, יום שבו אנחנו יוצקים תוכן ממשי בהסכם השלום עליו חתמנו בחודש העבר בוושינגטון. השלום הזה לא נשאר על הנייר. אנחנו מקדמים אותו בתנופה כדי שפירותיו יבשילו כמה שיותר מהר, וחלק מהפירות כבר גלויים לעין. היום נחתום על הסכמים לשיתוף פעולה בכמה תחומים, בוויזות, בתעופה, בהשקעות, והדבר הזה יביא להרחבה משמעותית של קשרי העסקים, של תנועת התיירות, של המגעים בין שתי המדינות. בתעופה אנחנו נחתום על הסכם לטיסות סדירות וישירות בין ישראל והאמירויות, עשרות טיסות בשבוע. אזרחי האמירויות יגיעו אלינו ואזרחינו יבקרו באמירויות. פתיחת השמיים גם תאפשר טיסות זולות יותר וקצרות יותר ליעדים אחרים בעולם. שלישית, ההשקעות, אנחנו ניצור סביבה כלכלית שתניב ערך למשקיעים, וגם זה יעשה מתוך ידידות וכבוד הדדי וגם התלהבות עצומה. אני אומר לאורחינו, שרי האיחוד האמירויות, לכם זהו ביקור ראשון בישראל. This is your first visit to Israel, and because of the corona limitations, we cannot show you our beautiful country, but I expect to have many more visits, עוד הרבה ביקורים, so that we can know each other, know our countries, both here and in the Emirates. So I already invite you to an additional trip. מזמין אתכם לביקור נוסף. As soon as this corona disease disappears from our world, and with our cooperation, it will disappear faster. בסוף השבוע הזה אנחנו קוראים את פרשת השבוע, פרשת נוח. ובסוף הפרשה, אברהם אבינו עולה על במת ההיסטוריה. והוא מתחיל את המסע מאור כסדין לארץ ישראל. זה לקח לו קצת יותר זמן ממה שלקח לאורחינו מהמזרח לעשות את אותה דרך באוויר. אבל זה מזכיר לנו שכולנו בני אברהם, לכולנו עבר משותף, לכולנו עתיד משותף. ויחד אנחנו מבטיחים היום לנו, לילדינו ולדורות הבאים עתיד מזהיר של שלום. אהלן וסהלן, ברוכים הבאים. תודה לכם.
Thank you, Prime Minister. It is now my honor to call upon the Treasury Secretary of the United States, His Excellency Stéphane.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. It is always great to be back here in Israel. I'm honored to represent President Trump and be here with the U.S. delegation at this momentous occasion. Yesterday, I participated in the first Abraham Accords Business Summit in Abu Dhabi, bringing together business leaders to discuss a vast array of opportunities. This morning, I flew on the first commercial flight from UAE to Israel. What a historic occasion. The Abraham Accords established direct economic ties between two of the Middle East's most thriving and advanced economies. These ties create a tremendous foundation for economic growth, opportunity, innovation, and prosperity. With greater economic prosperity comes stronger security. Along with the United States, Israel and the UAE share a similar outlook regarding threats and opportunities in the region. I'd like to thank President Trump, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, and Prime Minister Netanyahu for their bold leadership that brings us all together today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. It is now my honor to call to the podium His Excellency Obaid Khoumed Altair, Minister of State for Financial Affairs of the United Arab Emirates.
Assalamu alaikum. Honorable Prime Minister Netanyahu, Honorable Secretary Mnuchin, Excellency Ashkenazi, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's my sincere honor to stand before you today to lead the United Arab Emirates' first official delegation to the State of Israel, for what I know will be an informative and productive visit to deepen the bilateral understanding and capitalizing on both countries' leadership and great opportunities ahead of us. I am pleased to see that we have achieved significant progress between our governments since the historic Abraham Accords peace agreement. The UAE will continue to be regional leader in terms of economic reforms, openness in international trade, political stability, and peacemaking. The economic cooperation in finance and investment between the UAE and Israel will be realized after signing today the agreement for the promotion and protection of investment, which was initialed on October 15th after 4 days of discussions through video conferencing. I am also glad to announce that we will sign the Mutual Economic Cooperation Memorandum of Understanding between the UAE and Israel. Also, we are looking forward to conclude the double taxation agreement. Our team is ready to continue the dialogue on financial relations front to achieve mutual advantage to our countries. As you know, the UAE has a leading position in MENA in terms of institutional support and funding system directed by National Innovation Strategy, focused on support to diversify the economy, and such the ecosystem is developing into an integrated network of support services. Positive effects are observable in venture deals, with the UAE accounting for 51% of total venture funding in the MENA region, of which fintech accounts for 27% of deals. UAE has ranked the highest in the region in both World Bank and IMD global indices in human capital, government expenditure efficiency, economic performance, business efficiency and infrastructure, labor market, and others. UAE being the biggest in the region in banking assets in excess of $1 trillion, we have also great achievements in the field of financial technology, starting from establishing the Dubai International Financial Center's FinTech Hive to Abu Dhabi Global Markets Reg Lab and Regulatory Sandbox, and most recently, the Central Bank's FinTech Office, and development of an interbank digital currency, and finally, the Ministry of Finance e-Dirham project for digital payment. The UAE has been working with the G20 and the FSB on guiding the efforts in relations to, one, developing a globally agreed on definition of our stable coins arrangements, and two, the design principle for successful stable coins monitoring framework. We are committed to support legal framework for the movement of people and goods, and for fostering a continuous business-friendly environment between the UAE and the State of Israel to achieve prosperity for both our economies and our people. Thank you. It has been a pleasure being with you all today. We look forward to welcoming you to the UAE in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. It is now my honor to call upon Adam Bowler, the CEO of the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation.
This past month, we've seen what we believed was not possible: the signing of the Abraham Accords between the United States, Israel, UAE, and Bahrain. We saw the first El Al flight here, and now the return. We saw the Emiratis and the Israelis' first meeting. They were so overjoyed it was like a reunion of separated siblings. Out of the horrible abyss that was the Shoah comes the miracle that is Israel. The Abraham Accords are another miracle, the prospect of enduring peace in this region. I lead the DFC, a new $60 billion organization that is America's development bank. Prime Minister Netanyahu asked us to come, to do everything that we could to turn the words of the Accords into action, and to invest behind these accords and support other countries as they join these accords. And there will be more countries, because people are tired of decades of the same. They want economic strength, security, and the jobs that come from enduring peace. Today, I'm pleased to announce the Abraham Fund. This is a joint U.S., Israeli, and Emirati fund that will be based in Jerusalem. The office will be focused on strengthening regional economic resiliency across the Middle East and to North African countries, such as Morocco. The Abraham Fund will invest in projects that create jobs, spur technical advantages, and foster prosperity for everybody, Jews, Muslims, and Christians. The Abraham Fund will start with a $3 billion trilateral commitment. We will welcome the participation of other countries as well in time in our pursuit of peace and prosperity. We've already made progress on 2 deals: Med-Red, which is an energy bridge between Ashkelon and Eilat to bring energy to Europe and the broader Middle East, and to change and modernize the checkpoints for Palestinians throughout all of Israel and Jordan. I'm also pleased that an individual that is very well known in Israel, Aryeh Lightstone, who works for the ambassador, will be spearheading the American efforts here on the fund, who knows the Emiratis and the Israelis extremely well. So we're very lucky to have Aryeh leading these efforts. So thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you to the Crown Prince, and thank you to King Hamad, to the President of the United States, to Secretary Mnuchin, to Avi, to Jared Kushner. Who would ever think that we would see the Emirati Foreign Minister go to Berlin and sign in at the Holocaust Museum and write "Never Again"? We live in amazing times. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now call upon the Prime Minister, who opened this session, to give concluding remarks.
Thank you, Adam Bowler, for this wonderful news. The Abraham Fund investment will go a long way to boost even further the historic change that we're doing. This is an investment in infrastructure. It's really an investment in the future and in many, many projects. A word about the future. The future belongs to those who innovate. Israel and the United Arab Emirates are innovation nations. We have done great things separately, but we can do amazing things together. And this is the meaning of this day. So thank you all. And we're going to have also our ministers. I see here Finance Minister Israel Katz, Transportation Minister Miri Regev, Science Minister Izar Shai, and of course the representatives of the Emirates. We're going to sign these agreements to launch the future. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Now, I would humbly ask that the Prime Minister and the Secretary of the Treasury please stand. Can I ask, please, the Minister of State to remain seated because you will be needed with a pen shortly, and I invite Finance Minister, Excellency Israel Katz, please could you come to the table. We are signing the first of 4 agreements. This first agreement, once again, signing for the Israeli side, Israel Katz, Minister of Finance, and signing for the UAE side, His Excellency Altair, Minister of State for Financial Affairs. This is an agreement between the two governments to promotion and protection of investments. Thank you very, very much, Ministers. Our second agreement, I ask please the Minister of State to remain where he is. We need your pen once again, sir. And I call upon Israel's Minister for Science and Technology, Yishar Shai. We are now signing an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in Science and Innovation. Once again, signing for the Israeli side, Excellency Yishar Shai, Minister of Science and Technology, and signing for the Emirati side, His Excellency Altair, Minister of State for Financial Affairs. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Minister of State, can I kindly ask that you be upstanding and join the Prime Minister and the Secretary in the final row. We are now going to sign an agreement on aviation. Signing for the Israeli government will be Her Excellency Miri Regev, the Minister of Transport and Road Safety, and signing for the UAE government, His Excellency Abdullah bin Taouk Al-Mari, the Minister of Economy. Ministers, thank you so very much. And our final agreement for today on visa exemptions, signing for the Israeli government, Professor Shlomo Mor Yosef, the Director General of the Population and Immigration Authority, and signing for the UAE side, His Excellency Mr. Omar Gobash Almari, Assistant Minister for Culture, Public Diplomacy in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Excellencies. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We will now be moving indoors for the meetings. I thank you all for participating. Toda rabah.
כלב. לא, לא.